Hi everyone, welcome to Azad Revenge Stories channel. I can still see her face. That practiced HR smile stretched tight across teeth too white to be natural. Manicured fingers split across my performance review like she was protecting it from me from the person who actually did the work. Ren, your numbers are impressive. 16% is cute, but we're looking for leadership qualities and Marissa has really demonstrated initiative this quarter. Cute. She called my 16% revenue increase the highest in the department cute, like I was a child, showing her a finger painting. I don't understand, I said, my voice embarrassingly small. I exceeded every metric. I brought in Harrington Bridge when they were about to walk. That's a seven-figure account. Diane, that's her name. Not that it matters, tilted her head in that patronizing way people do when they are about to explain something simple to someone they think is stupid. Numbers aren't everything, Ren. Marissa is more connected. She understands the culture we're building. Connected, of course, because Marissa's father-in-law played golf with our CEO. Because Marissa went to the right schools and laughed at the right jokes and wore the right clothes. Because Marissa didn't speak with the hint of an Appalachian accent she couldn't quite shake no matter how many voice coaching videos she watched at night. I see, I said, though I didn't. Not really. Not yet. I'm sure you'll continue to be a valuable member of the team. Diane closed my file with a snap that felt like a slap. Congratulations to Marissa. I know you'll support her transition. I smiled. I actually smiled. Of course. Congratulations to Marissa. Diane had no idea I'd already applied for a position at Visionary Partners, that I'd been cultivating relationships with our biggest clients for months, that I'd documented every ethical corner Diane and her friends had cut for the last 2 years. She had no idea who I really was. Hey, before I get too deep into this, if you're new here, please like and subscribe. I don't usually do videos like this, but I've been holding this story in for almost 3 years, and I need to get it out. It's been eating me alive. So, here we go. My name is Ren Adla. I was 29 when this all went down, working as a client strategist for Cerulean Solutions. We created custom analytics packages for mid-sized businesses. Boring, I know, but the money was good. Or it was supposed to be. I'd been there for 4 years, working 70-hour weeks, sacrificing relationships, sleep, any semblance of a normal life. But I was good at it. No, I was exceptional at it. I understood the client's needs in ways the other strategists didn't. I could translate technical jargon into solutions real people could understand. And for a girl from a coal mining town in eastern Kentucky, the validation meant everything. My dad broke his back in the Callaway mine when I was 14. We lost our house. My mom cleaned hotel rooms while I watched my younger brothers after school. I worked every weekend at the Dollar Barn to help pay for groceries. College was a fever dream until I won that scholarship. So yeah, I worked harder than Marissa, harder than anyone at Seguin. I had to. I didn't have safety nets or connections or family money to fall back on. This career was everything I had. The promotion to senior strategist would have meant an extra $30,000 a year, enough to finally pay off my student loans, enough to help my parents with their mortgage, enough to feel like maybe finally I'd climbed out of the hole I was born into. Marissa already drove a Tesla. Her husband was an investment banker. She took 3-week vacations to Bali and came back with stories about finding herself. She didn't need this promotion. She wanted it. After the meeting with Diane, I went to the bathroom and cried. Not loud, dramatic sobs. The quiet kind where you press your fist against your mouth and taste blood because you're biting your knuckles so hard. 3 minutes. That's all I allowed myself. Then I splashed cold water on my face, reapplied my mascara, and walked back to my desk with my spine straight. Heard the news, whispered Ellis from the cubicle next to mine. Ellis was all right. The only person at Seguin who knew I lived in a studio apartment with a hot plate instead of a proper kitchen. That's messed up, Ren. I shrugged like it didn't matter. It's fine. It's not fine, he said, his voice low. Everyone knows you deserved it. Everyone except the people who make decisions. That night I didn't go home. I went to this dive bar called the Lantern. Not the kind of place anyone from Seguin would be caught dead in. The kind of place with peanut shells on the floor and a jukebox that still played actual CDs. I ordered whiskey neat like my dad used to drink before his accident. Rough day. The bartender Mick knew me. I came in sometimes when the pressure got too much. When pretending to be someone I wasn't became too exhausting. Lost a promotion to someone who deserved it less. I said, the whiskey burning a clean line down my throat. That's capitalism, baby. Mick slid me another without asking. No, I said, suddenly angry. Really angry. That's not capitalism. Capitalism would mean the best person gets rewarded. This is something else. This is a club I can't join because I wasn't born into it. Mick just nodded because what else could he say? He got it. Most people who worked at the Lantern came from places like I did, places with more churches than jobs, places the world had decided didn't matter. I was on my third whiskey when I pulled out my phone and checked my email. The response from Visionary Partners was there, sitting like a life raft among drowning spam. We'd like to schedule an interview. Simple words, life-changing words. I'd applied 2 weeks earlier after overhearing Diane and our COO Quinn discussing how they'd already decided on Marissa for the promotion, but they had to go through the motions with the other candidates. I'd been furious, but smart enough to keep it hidden behind a placid smile and a let me know if you need anything else for my application. As I walked away, that's when the plan started forming. Hazy at first, just anger and spite. But that night, at the Lantern, it crystallized into something real, something possible. Here's what you need to understand. I didn't just want another job. I wanted justice. I wanted recognition. I wanted Diane and Marissa and everyone at Seguin to realize exactly what they'd lost when they passed me over. The next morning, my head pounding from the whiskey, I came in early. I always came in early, but this time I had purpose beyond proving my worth. I started gathering information. For 2 years, I'd watched Diane's faction at Seguin cut corners. They'd billed clients for hours we didn't work. They'd repurposed proprietary data from one client to another. They'd manipulated reports to make mediocre results look spectacular. Small things, usually things that lived in the gray area between unethical and illegal. I'd never participated, not because I was some paragon of virtue, but because I was terrified of getting caught. When you come from nothing, you can't afford to make mistakes. One wrong move and it's back to the dollar barn. But I'd seen it all, and I documented some of it just as protection, just in case. Now I began documenting everything, every email, every modified report, every inflated invoice. I created a secured folder on my personal cloud drive, organizing it all with timestamps and explanations. It took weeks, all while I smiled at Marissa in the hallway, all while I trained her on the accounts I'd built from nothing, all while I interviewed at Visionary Partners. Your track record is impressive, said the hiring manager, a woman named Loretta with close-cropped gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. Why leave cerulean now? I'd prepared for this. I've taken my current role as far as I can. I'm looking for new challenges. Loretta's eyes narrowed slightly. That's the answer everyone gives. I'd like the real one. Something about her directness broke through my practiced facade. They promoted someone else, someone with connections but half my results. I expected disapproval. Instead, Loretta leaned forward. And how did that make you feel? Like I was invisible. Like nothing I did mattered because I wasn't part of their club. And what did you do with that feeling? I hesitated. I decided to find somewhere my work would be valued. Loretta nodded slowly. Ren, I'll be honest. We are not just looking for someone with good numbers. We need someone who can build relationships, who understands that business is about people, not just metrics. My heart sank. The same as Seguin. Different wrapping, same empty box. I grew up in a town where everyone knew everyone's business, I said, abandoning my interview script entirely, where your reputation was all you had. I understand relationships better than anyone at Seguin. The difference is I built them with clients, not with executives on the golf course. Loretta's face gave nothing away. Tell me about your clients. So I did. I told her about Harrington, Bridge, and how their CFO called me directly when their system crashed at 2 a.m. how I talked him through the backup protocol while sitting on my bathroom floor in pajamas, how I remembered his kids' names and asked about his daughter's soccer tournament. I told her about Meridian Manufacturing and how I learned their specialized vocabulary so they wouldn't have to translate their needs into our corporate speak. How I brought them cookies from my hometown bakery when I visited their facility. They are not just accounts to me, I said, surprised to find my eyes stinging. They trust me, and would they follow you if you moved companies? The question hung between us, the ethical gray area I'd been tap dancing around. I would never violate my contract, I said carefully. But when clients choose a new service provider, they often want to work with people they trust. Loretta smiled for the first time. I think we understand each other. The interview lasted another 40 minutes, but I knew in that moment I had the job. They made the offer the next day, 20% more than I was making at Sehuin, a signing bonus, and the title Senior Client Strategist. The title that should have been mine all along. I didn't give notice immediately. I had preparations to make, conversations to have, evidence to compile. Remember Quinn Arcu, the one who'd been discussing my non-promotion with Diane? He had a habit of coming in early, too. So early one morning I knocked on his open door. "But a minute," I asked, my heart hammering so hard I was sure he could hear it. "For my revenue star." Always, he gestured to the chair opposite his desk. Quinn was one of those men who aged into his attractiveness, salt and pepper hair, runner's physique, expensive watch that somehow wasn't flashy. "I wanted to discuss some concerns," I said, placing a folder on his desk but not opening it. "About the promotion." Quinn sighed. "Ren, I know you're disappointed, but Marissa has qualities that this isn't about the promotion." I cut in, though of course it was. Everything was about the promotion. "It's about some discrepancies I've noticed in our client reporting." Quinn's expression shifted subtly. "What kind of discrepancies?" I opened the folder and slid across a spreadsheet, one of hundreds I'd compiled. "This is the actual hours our team spent on the Pinnacle Media account last quarter. And this," I slid another sheet across, "is what we billed them for." The difference was substantial, almost 40%. Quinn's face remained professionally neutral, but a muscle jumped in his jaw. "I'm sure there's an explanation." "There is," I said calmly. "Diane authorized the billing adjustment. She does it regularly for most of our top 10 clients." "That's a serious accusation, Ren." "It's not an accusation. It's a fact. I have the documentation." I tapped the folder. "I also have documentation of data sharing between competing clients, repurposed analytics, fabricated outcomes dating back 2 years. The muscle in Quinn's jaw jumped again. "Why are you bringing this to me now?" The question beneath the question. "Why didn't you say something earlier?" "I thought it was just how things worked." I lied smoothly until I realized it's not how things work at other companies. Companies like Visionary Partners. Quinn's eyes narrowed. "Then leaving." I'd accepted another position. "Yes. And what exactly are you looking for here, Ren?" "Funny, the promotion after all." I smiled, and for once I didn't try to make it reach my eyes. "I'm looking for you to clean house, Quinn, starting with Diane and her team. They're a liability to this company, and I'm giving you the chance to address it internally before I feel ethically obligated to inform the clients being defrauded." Quinn leaned back in his chair, studying me like he'd never seen me before. Maybe he hadn't. Maybe he was finally seeing the real Ren Adler, not the accommodating, grateful to be here version I'd performed for 4 years. "You've changed," he said finally. "No," I corrected him. "I just stopped pretending." He picked up the folder. "I'll look into this." "Good. My last day is 2 weeks from today. I'd like this resolved before I leave." I stood to go, smoothing my skirt, a cheap polyester blend that I suddenly couldn't wait to replace with something better. "Ran," Quinn called as I reached the door. "For what it's worth, I argued for you for the promotion. I turned back not hard enough, and that was just the beginning, but I think I'll pause here for now. This video is getting long, and honestly, I need a minute. Reliving this still makes my hands shake even now. If you want to hear what happened next, how it all played out with Diane and Marissa, how I walked away, and what it cost me, let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe if this resonated with you. Because the thing is, I'm not proud of everything I did, but I'm not sorry either. And that's the part that keeps me up at night. Okay, I'm back. Thanks for sticking with me through this. The YC's helping. Not the best coping mechanism, I know, but we are being honest here, right? So where was I? Right. I just confronted Quinn with the evidence of Diane's, let's call it what it was, fraud, and I'd given my notice. The next 2 weeks were the strangest of my life. I moved through the office like a ghost, doing my work, training Marissa, all while watching the quiet panic spread through management. Quinn called an emergency leadership meeting the day after our conversation. I wasn't invited, obviously, but Ellis texted me from the bathroom during a break. Something's happening. Diane looks like she swallowed a wasp. That afternoon, Diane's assistant was seen crying while carrying a box of personal items to her car. By the next morning, Diane herself was nowhere to be found, her office door closed with the blinds drawn. Marissa cornered me in the break room, her perfect blonde waves practically vibrating with tension. "What did you do?" she hissed, coffee sloshing over the rim of her monogrammed mug. "I don't know what you're talking about," I said, stirring creamer into my own coffee. The cheap kind from the communal fridge, not the organic oat milk Marissa brought from home. "Diane's on administrative leave. There are auditors coming in tomorrow." Marissa's voice dropped to a whisper. "People are saying there's a problem with the billing." I raised my eyebrows in manufactured surprise. "That sounds serious." "Don't play dumb, Ren. This happened right after you gave notice, right after you lost the promotion." I took a slow sip of coffee, letting the moment stretch. "Sounds like a coincidence. Unless, did you know about the billing discrepancies, Marissa? As the new senior strategist, that would fall under your oversight now, wouldn't it?" The blood drained from her face so quickly, I thought she might faint. "I just implemented what Diane approved," I hummed, neither agreeing nor disagreeing. "Implementing without questioning. That's certainly one approach to leadership." I walked away then, leaving her clutching her designer mug with white knuckles. It felt good. God, it felt good. Better than any promotion could have. But I wasn't done. Not by a long shot. That afternoon, I had a scheduled call with Harrington Bridge, my biggest client, the one I'd saved at 2 a.m. From my bathroom floor, Julian Harrington himself was on the line along with his CFO Martin Wren. "We received an unusual email from Quinn Barnes this morning," Julian said after the pleasantries. "Something about an internal audit and possible adjustments to our invoices." "Yes," I said, keeping my voice professional. "Cerulean is conducting a comprehensive review of all client billing. It appears there may have been some irregularities." "Irregularities?" Martin repeated flatly. "Such as I'm not at liberty to discuss the details." I said, the lie smooth on my tongue. "But I wanted you to know that I'll be leading Cerulean in 10 days. I've accepted a position at Visionary Partners." The silence on the line lasted so long, I thought we'd been disconnected. "Well," Julian finally said, "that's certainly news. May I ask why?" I'd rehearsed this answer carefully. "I'm looking for new challenges and growth opportunities. Visionary's approach to client partnerships aligns more closely with my values." "Their values?" Martin echoed. He'd always been the sharper of the two. "Would these values include accurate billing by any chance?" I let my silence answer for me. Julian cleared his throat. "Ren, we valued our relationship with you. You've always been straightforward with us, even when it wasn't easy." "I appreciate that, Julian. Our contract with Seguin is up for renewal next month," he continued. "Perhaps you could put us in touch with someone at Visionary just to explore our options." I smiled at my computer screen. "I'd be happy to make that introduction. I had similar conversations with 6 other clients that week, never explicitly asking them to follow me, never bad-mouthing Cerulean directly, just planting seeds, watering doubts that were already there. By the end of my first week of notice, the office was in chaos. The auditors had set up camp in the conference room, requesting files, interviewing staff. Marissa looked like she hadn't slept in days, her perfect makeup unable to hide the dark circles under her eyes. Quinn called me into his office on Thursday afternoon. "The situation is worse than I thought," he said without preamble, gesturing for me to close the door. I sat across from him, smoothing my skirt. A new one bought with my signing bonus from Visionary. Wool blend, navy, nothing flashy, but real quality. I'm sorry to hear that, I said. Not sorry at all. Diane's been terminated. We're still determining the extent of the billing issues. He rubbed his temples. Several clients have called expressing concern. Arrington Bridge is requesting a meeting with me and the CEO. I nodded, waiting. I need you to stay, Ren. I blinked, genuinely surprised. Stay. We'll match Visionary's offer. Add 15% full senior strategist title and responsibilities. Quinn leaned forward. We need you to stabilize the client relationships, to show them there's continuity. I almost laughed. Almost. And Marissa. Quinn's mouth tightened. Marissa's role is being reevaluated in light of her involvement with the billing discrepancies. I see. I let the moment stretch, enjoying the reversal. Quinn Barnes, who'd never bothered to learn where I was from or asked about my family, now looking at me like I was his salvation. I'm afraid I've made a commitment to Visionary. Commitments can be broken. We'll cover any signing bonus you'd have to return. I tilted my head, studying him. It's not about the money, Quinn. Then what is it about? Revenge. You've gotten that. Diane's gone. Marissa will be demoted. If not, let go entirely. It's about value, I said simply. About recognizing what people contribute and respecting them for it. You didn't value me until you realized what losing me would cost. Quinn had the decency to look uncomfortable. Business decisions are complicated. They are really not. Not the important ones. I stood up. My last day is still next Friday. I'll do everything I can to ensure a smooth transition for the clients who choose to stay and the ones who don't. Quinn's voice had an edge now. I smiled. That's really up to them, isn't it? I walked out feeling lighter than I had in years, like I'd finally set down a weight I didn't know I was carrying. The next week was a blur. 3 more clients requested introductions to Visionary. The auditors expanded their investigation to include the last 3 fiscal years. Marissa was moved to a cubicle, her corner office already being repainted for whoever would take over. Diane, I heard through office gossip, had hired an attorney. Quinn was in closed-door meetings with the legal team most days. The cozy little system they'd built was collapsing, and I was watching it happen from a safe distance, already mentally checked out. On my last day, I came in to find flowers on my desk, not from Cerulean. They were too busy firefighting to think about departing employees, but from Julian Harrington. The card reads simply, "Looking forward to continuing our work together. J.H. Ellis helped me pack my few personal items into a box." "You're like a legend now," he whispered. "The quiet girl who brought down the empire." I laughed softly. I didn't bring down anything. They did that themselves. Still, Ellis glanced around to make sure no one was listening. It's inspiring standing up to them like that. I felt a twinge of something. Not quite guilt, but close. Ellis didn't know the full story. No one did. How calculated it had been. How I'd waited, gathered evidence, timed my move perfectly for maximum damage. "Don't put me on a pedestal," I said. "I just did what I had to do." "For what it's worth," Ellis said, handing me my sad little potted succulent. "I think you're going to crush it at Visionary." I hugged him, the only real goodbye I cared about. Then I walked out of Seguin Solutions for the last time. Past Marissa's cubicle, empty. She'd called in sick. Past Quinn's office, door closed. Past the reception desk, where the flowers I'd received were causing whispers. I didn't look back. My first day at Visionary was the following Monday. Loretta, my new boss, greeted me with a handshake and a private office. Not a cubicle, not a shared workspace. A real office with a door that closed and my name on it. "We're excited to have you," she said, "especially with the new clients you're bringing." I froze. I didn't promise any clients would follow me. Loretta smiled. "Of course not. That would be inappropriate, but we've already had inquiries from Harrington Bridge, Meridian Manufacturing, and 4 others. They all mentioned you specifically, 6 clients, over 40% of my portfolio at Cerulean, more than $12 million in annual revenue." I didn't. I started. "I know." Loretta cut me off. "They made their own decisions based on relationships you built and maintained professionally. That's why we hired you." She left me to settle in, and I sat at my new desk, real wood, not laminate, feeling strangely hollow. This was what I wanted, what I'd worked for, what I'd fought for. So why did victory taste so complicated? That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept checking my phone, half expecting angry messages from Quinn or Marissa, but there was nothing, just silence. The next morning, Ellis texted me. Marissa's been fired. Quinn's taking a leave of absence. CEO made an announcement about recommitting to ethical business practices. You did that. I stared at the message for a long time before replying. They did it to themselves. But I knew that wasn't entirely true. I'd pushed the first domino. I'd known exactly what would happen when I did. Over the next month, all 6 clients officially transferred their business to Visionary. 2 more followed after that. Seguin announced layoffs 15% of their workforce. Ellis was among them. I helped him get an interview at Visionary. He starts next week. Harrington Bridge expanded their contract, adding services they'd been reluctant to purchase from Seguin. My commission check was larger than my parents' annual income when I was growing up. I bought them a new car, paid off their mortgage, set up college funds for my brother's kids. I bought myself a condo. Nothing extravagant, but mine. No more hot plate. A real kitchen with stone countertops. And a gas range I still don't know how to use properly. I should have been happy. I was happy in some ways, but also unsettled. Because here's the thing I didn't expect. Revenge changes you. Not in the way inspirational quotes claim about digging 2 graves or becoming what you hate. It's subtler than that. I started having lunch with Loretta regularly. She became a mentor, then a friend. One day, over salad I could now easily afford, she asked me a question that cut to the bone. Do you miss who you were before? I put down my fork. What do you mean? Before Seguin, before the betrayal, before the revenge, Loretta's eyes were kind but uncompromising. You achieved something remarkable, Ren. You held people accountable, but carrying that much anger, it reshapes you. I thought about it for days afterward. Was I different? Had I changed? The answer was yes. Of course I had. I was harder now, more cynical. I found it difficult to trust new colleagues, always looking for hidden agendas. I worked even longer hours, as if still trying to prove my worth. I dated occasionally but kept everyone at arm's length, afraid of being vulnerable. 6 months after I left Seguin, I ran into Marissa at a coffee shop downtown. She looked different. No designer clothes, no perfect hair. She was wearing jeans and a sweater with a small stain on the sleeve. Human floored. She saw me before I could pretend I hadn't seen her. Ren, she said, her voice flat. I nodded. Marissa. She gestured to the empty chair across from her. After a moment's hesitation, I sat. I got a job at Meridian Manufacturing, she said, in their internal marketing department. Meridian, one of my clients now at Visionary. I didn't know, I said truthfully. I know, she stared into her coffee. They don't work with Seguin and more. Because of you. I said nothing. I had to move to a smaller apartment. Marissa continued. My husband and I, we separated. Turns out he was only interested in the lifestyle. Not me. And sorry, I said automatically, then wondered if I meant it. Marissa looked up, her eyes hard. No, you're not. This is exactly what you wanted. I wanted the promotion I earned. I corrected her. I wanted to be treated fairly. What happened after that was the consequence of Diane's actions and yours. I didn't know about the billing fraud, Marissa insisted. I just did what Diane told me to do, without questioning, without thinking about the clients being overcharged. I kept my voice low. That's not leadership, Marissa. It's complicity. She flinched as if I'd slapped her. You destroyed people's lives. No, I said firmly. I exposed the truth. The truth destroyed what wasn't built to last. We sat in silence for a long moment. I don't expect you to forgive me, Marissa finally said, but I want you to know I've learned from this, the hard way. I studied her face, looking for manipulation or deceit. I didn't find it. Just exhaustion and a kind of hard-won humility. We all have, I said. I finished my coffee and left. I didn't feel the vindication I expected, just a quiet sadness for all the wasted time and energy, for the person I might have been if Seguin had simply recognized my work in the first place. 3 years later now, I'm a partner at Visionary. I manage a team of 14 people. I make sure they are recognized for their contributions. I protect them from office politics. I mentor the ones from backgrounds like mine, the scholarship kids, the first-generation professionals, the ones with something to prove. Seguin never recovered. They were acquired last year by a competitor for pennies on the dollar. Quinn landed at a smaller firm. Diane, I heard, left the industry entirely. As for me, I'm still figuring out who I am in the aftermath, still learning to trust, still working too hard, but trying to build a life outside of my job. I dated a kindergarten teacher for a while, the polar opposite of anyone at Seguin. It didn't work out, but it helped me remember there's a world beyond quarterly targets and client acquisitions. I have dinner with Ellis and his wife once a month. I call my parents every Sunday. Small steps toward becoming a whole person again, toward healing the parts of me that broke during those years of pretending to be someone I wasn't. Was it worth it? The revenge, the calculated destruction? Some days I think yes. Some days I'm not sure. What I know is this: there's power in standing up for yourself, in refusing to be made small, in holding people accountable. But there's also power in moving on, in not letting the anger define you forever. I'm working on that part. So that's my story. Not neat or pretty or easily packaged with a moral at the end. Just real, just human, just me, trying to make sense of what happened and who I've become because of it. If you're in a similar situation, overlooked, undervalued, pushed aside, I don't know if I can tell you what to do. Everyone's circumstances are different, but I can tell you that you deserve to be valued for your work. You deserve recognition. You deserve a seat at the table. How you claim it, that's your choice. Just be prepared for how it might change you. If this resonated with you, please like and subscribe. I might share more stories from my professional life if there's interest. The business world is full of these moments, these turning points where we decide who we are going to be and what we are willing to accept. Leave a comment if you've ever been in a situation like mine, or if you just want to tell me I'm a terrible person for what I did. I can take it. I've been called worse by better. Thanks for listening, for letting me finally tell this story out loud. It feels good to release it after carrying it for so long. Until next time, I invite you to subscribe to the Azad Revenge Stories channel, like this video, and support me further by hitting the hype button so the story in this video can be heard by many more people. Thanks to all.